He looks like a pile of scarves with a weak beard and mustache on top. And he's a pirate, and his name is Johnny Depp. Oh gosh. That was the worst unisong in the history of unisongs. The worst. You heard it. We bottomed out, guys.
No, that was great, man.
We bottomed out.
Don't be so hard on yourself when I'm involved in it. When we're doing something in unison, I thought it was great.
It was great for that. Yeah.
Pile of scarves.
Great link.
I got a guy. You got a guy. A mad scientist. Not like angry mad, but like crazy mad. I hope I don't have to tell you that after going through a whole episode of talking about it already. Welcome to Good Mythical More.
Oh, are you gonna talk about your guy?
Tycho Brahe. Let me read about this guy to you. First, the scientist part. Tycho Brahe is renowned for the magnificent precision of his astronomical measurements. At a time when telescopic astronomy was young and crude, Tycho assembled an array of data whose accuracy facilitated numerous discoveries, including the laws of planetary motion by his assistant, Johann Kepler.
Oh, I've heard of Kepler.
Right, well, he was his assistant, so what does that tell you? Here's the mad part. 16th century Danish astronomer.
Are you sure you don't mean Denmarkian?
Right, 16th century Denmarkian astronomer Tycho Brahe, which I've been talking about. We just pasted this information in here. He lost his nose in a duel in college.
Gosh, that's rough.
In college. Like, you got a tough college where you like lose your nose at it, you know?
Well, yeah, I'd say I think it's pretty bad if
don't go to Stanford, man. You might lose your nose.
Whenever it happens. I think wherever
but no one wants to go to college and lose their nose.
Well, when you lose your nose, that makes wherever you're at that point in life a bad deal.
I think. Tough spot.
Yeah. Could have been high school.
He wore a prosthetic metal nose after that.
That's cool.
I mean, he's like a supervillain. He also loved to party. He had his very own island, and he invited friends over to his castle on said island for wild escapades. Listen to this.
Escapades.
On this island, he had an elk that he had tamed.
I like this guy already.
And then, well, here's the dubious part. He had a dwarf, a friend of his, named Jep, and who he made him dress up as like a court jester and sit under the table. So that's not cool.
No, that's not cool at all.
And fed him scraps of food under the table. It's just a fact. So this guy's he's cray. His love of parties may have inadvertently been the death of him at a banquet in Prague. Brahe insisted on staying at the table when he needed to pee because leaving the table would be a breach of etiquette. He died of not peeing.
Oh, gosh.
A bladder infection.
I've heard of this.
He had a kidney infection and his bladder burst 11 days later.
You know, I've heard, I didn't know that this guy was the guy who held his pee, but every single time I'm holding my pee, I think to myself, I don't want to be like that guy that died from holding his pee. Now I know who it was. It was a guy with a metal nose and a pet elk.
Yeah, now that he's tamed an elk, you might change your mind. I could pee right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to think about that elk. That's every time I need to pee now, I'm going to think about an elk.
Yeah, I think you missed something. How about Buckminster Fuller? This guy's an architect and a scientist.
Buckminster, that's a name? He's
famous for creating the geodesic dome.
Oh.
Which is like the giant Epcot 8-ball. that big 8-ball at Epcot Center.
That's not black and doesn't have an 8 on it.
It's the big ball at the Epcot Center. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What is that? I've never been to Epcot.
But you've seen pictures. That's like, I've never been to the Egyptian pyramids, but I know what they look like.
I know, but what is it? I don't know what it is. I've never been to Epcot.
It's the ball that like is on all the Disney stuff.
I know what it looks like. I'm asking, what is it?
Oh, what's inside?
What? Yeah, is it a sculpture?
It's a ride. It's called the Future of, what's it called? It's like called, yeah.
It is a ride.
It's a ride.
It's not like.
It's a pretty cheesy
ride.
The
remains of Disney and all of. His characters.
I thought you were asking what the ball was.
No, I know what I know
Earth.
what the 8-ball looks like.
Yeah,
I just don't know what purpose
it looks just like an
serves.
8-ball. Okay, this guy was a little weird. He had 3 watches that he wore at all times so that he knew what time it was in 3 different time zones.
If you're such a genius, why couldn't he just like
Do the math.
yeah. It's just addition or subtraction.
I don't really know why you need to know the time in other time zones.
If you're a news anchor. You know, they always have
Well, he did live until 1983, yes, okay. Now this is really interesting. We talked about this a long time ago on Mythical Morning about different sleep cycles, but he actually had fallen into the Dymaxion sleep cycle, which you basically sleep 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes 4 times a day. So it's 2 hours total sleep in a given day.
in 30 wow.
I think that's
He
also what,
he invented this?
no, well, I think Da Vinci actually invented it or did it, because I remember when we were talking about it that Da Vinci had figured out some way to do this sleep cycle.
But it says he called it Dymaxion Sleep. And then there's another Dymaxion thing he did.
But I mean, think about that for a second. 2 hours, he slept 2 hours a day. So this guy had an amazing amount of time to
Get crazy.
get extra watches and stuff like that. He also wrote everything he did down every 15 minutes. So he chronicled his entire life every 15 minutes.
Oh, I gotta write this down.
Except for those 30 minutes 4 times a day that he was sleeping. He didn't do it for those times.
So how much time did he take to write it down? Because if he took 15 minutes to write it down, then he'd just be constantly writing.
I don't think he must have
You wouldn't
been
do
fa-
anything
he must
except
have been
write
faster
it.
than
I'm
that.
writing about.
He called it the Dymaxion Chronophile, and it resulted in a 270-foot tall stack of journals that are currently housed at Stanford University.
Whoa.
270 feet stack. It's like somebody who tweets a lot, you know, it'd be really uninteresting to like read it, I'm sure, you know. It's like, okay, the dude who tweets every 15 minutes, nobody follows him, you know?
Right.
So why am I gonna go read this big stack of papers?
Wow.
Why am I gonna go to Stanford?
He did invent it, and I just pulled up a Time article from 1943 announcing, like, an article about this form of sleeping, and
Really?
it's called Science Dymaxion Sleep, and sleep is just a bad habit.
Sleep is a bad habit. Dymaxion. What does the word Dymaxion mean? If he keeps throwing that around so much.
Well, it probably means, die means 2, right? So something, 2 something. 2 hours a day. I don't know.
It's a portmanteau.
Portmanteau.
The word dynamic, maximum, and tension. Dymaxion.
He created the word, in other words.
Yeah, he created
He
it.
made it up.
You made it up.
I think Da Vinci slept 4 hours. Da Vinci sleep cycle. It's called polyphasic, so we know what that is. Polyphasic is
The
the,
car is really cool, by the way.
His car?
It looks like
He
a
invented
whale.
A car. It looks like a weird boat.
It's like a submarine.
Oh,
car.
he invented a submarine car?
Dymaxion car.
Did he call it the Dymaxion car?
Yeah.
And a Dymaxion house.
He branded everything with the word Dymaxion.
It's like Trump,
Yeah.
you know?
He really
Trump Tower,
Yeah.
Trump this,
But it wasn't his name though.
so
What was the car for?
The house is also weird looking. Look
Oh yeah.
at that house.
It looked like it was to go underwater. And his house looked like a cheeseburger.
Like that car pulled up next to that house. They're like, that guy's weird. He's always awake.
It's Dymaxion.
So yeah, I remember we talked about the Uberman. The Uberman sleep cycle is the same amount of sleep, but you take 6 20-minute naps. So you take a 20-minute nap every 4 hours, or you can take 4 30-minute naps every 6 hours, and you get 2 hours of sleep total. So you're only sleeping 8.3% of your life. Whereas if you do monophasic sleep, like most people do, 8 hours a day, you're asleep a third of your time.
Well, but there's also a biphasic sleep pattern where you take a 90-minute nap in the middle of the day.
That's the
I like that.
Latin American, that's a siesta pattern, which is actually what they do, and it's actually really, it's
That's sad.
really good for you.
Maybe we should talk more about sleep patterns at a later date.
Maybe we should just do it. We should finally just do it. Let's do it, man. Let's Dymax it. Let's Dymax it up.
Nothing about that excites me unless I get the car. The car that looks like a tadpole.
Yeah, we'll build that together.
Yes.
While we're not sleeping.
Fact about this car. What is it?
Oh, I think there was something I was reading about that before that they had investors in it. It's a 3-wheeled car.
A 3-wheeled car.
That can park better and stuff.
That can park better.
They were driving it with the investors. It crashed and killed them or something.
Oh, it killed the investors.
Yeah, and
How fast are they going in that Dymax? They were taking it to the Dymax.
Look at this one. 3.5 hour major sleep episode with 3 20-minute power naps.
I couldn't even figure out what I was supposed to do next.
You get what? You put it on your watch. One of your 3 watches.
Right.